Let's talk about enlightenment. What is it really? It's a word that gets thrown around so much it's almost lost all its meaning. So today we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to build a really clear step-by-step framework to understand what this state of being actually is.
And hey, if you've ever felt that way, you are definitely not alone. This quote, it comes from a spiritual teacher with 50 years of experience. And it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that frustration. So, let's fix that right now.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with something I call the ladder of consciousness, something we all climb up and down every single day. Then we'll get into this intense bliss state that a lot of people mistake for the final goal. After that, we'll pin down what true enlightenment really is, what to look for, and then we're going to flip the whole idea on its head and see it as a journey, not just a destination.
Okay, so before we can even talk about the peak of the mountain, we first have to understand the path leading up to it. And it all starts with these 4 basic states of consciousness that every single one of us moves through every day.
Think of it like this. Your mind has 4 main floors. You've got 2 waking floors, beta and alpha, and 2 sleeping floors. Theta, that's your dream state, and delta, which is that deep, dark, nothingness sleep.
Now here's the first really important thing to get. Just within our waking hours, there's a huge difference. Most of us, let's be honest, we live in that beta state. It's the default mode of stress, running around, solving problems. But with a lot of practice, things like meditation, it's actually possible to shift your baseline to alpha. You're still dealing with the same challenges, but you're calm, you're focused, you're centered.
And what's really fascinating is that this pattern continues even when we're asleep. These states have direct parallels in really advanced meditation. You know that floaty, dreamlike feeling just before you fall asleep? That theta state. In meditation, that's called pratyahara. And delta, that deep, dreamless void, that's seen as a natural version of nirvikalpa samadhi, a state of no thought, no mind, just pure being.
Okay, but what happens if you go beyond that? Beyond even deep, dreamless sleep? Well, this is where a lot of the confusion comes from. People sometimes get a temporary glimpse of a 5th state, something absolutely extraordinary.
This state has a name. It's called samadhi. People describe it as this sudden, overwhelming wave of bliss, where everything just makes sense. It's like every question you've ever had about life gets answered in a single instant. The feeling is so powerful, it's often compared to what people experience on psychedelics, but this happens completely naturally.
And just to give you a sense of what we're talking about here, this is a direct quote from our source describing his first time experiencing samadhi. It's not some gentle, peaceful feeling. It's a tidal wave. It can literally hit you so hard it knocks you out cold. So, of course, the big question is, if you have an experience that powerful, that reality-shattering, does that mean you've done it? You've crossed the finish line? Are you enlightened?
And the answer, maybe surprisingly, is a clear, definitive no. This powerful, life-changing experience, it's a signpost. It's a taste of what's possible. It is not the destination itself. So if that incredible temporary bliss isn't the end goal, then what in the world is? Well, this gets us to the most important distinction of all, the difference between a fleeting experience and a permanent, fundamental shift in who you are.
I love this analogy because it makes it all just click. Experiencing samadhi is like you're walking through a pitch-black forest, and you flick on a flashlight. For a second, you see everything clearly. Enlightenment is when the sun comes up and it's just daylight, everywhere, all the time.
So here it is. Here's our working definition. Enlightenment isn't an experience you have, it's a permanent 24/7 state you live in. It's the ability to hold that blissful, superconscious state of samadhi, not just when you're meditating on a cushion, but when you're talking, when you're working, even when you're sleeping.
Okay, that sounds pretty wild. So how would you even know if someone has actually reached this state? Well, believe it or not, there's a pretty straightforward 3-part test. I mean, sure, we're all conscious in our waking state, but are you still fully conscious and aware while you're dreaming? And here's the real kicker. Are you still conscious in deep, dreamless sleep? You see, for an enlightened being, consciousness doesn't just switch off. There's no difference for them. Their awareness in the waking world, the dream world, or that complete void of deep sleep, it's all the same. They are fully present, fully aware right through all of it.
All right, so if this is a real, permanent, 24/7 thing, there have to be signs we can actually see, right? It can't just be something someone claims internally. What would we actually observe in a person who's achieved this? Well, here is some of the reported signs. They would just seem to be in a constant state of bliss. Their very sense of self would feel like it extends way beyond their physical body. They could answer questions with this almost supernatural insight. And maybe strangest of all, they could apparently perceive light even in what we would call total darkness.
And check out this story. It's from the autobiography of a yogi, and it just illustrates this perfectly. Yogananda found his teacher, Sri Yukteswar, lying totally still, no breath, no heartbeat. He thought he was dead. But when he reached out and touched him, his teacher just spoke, totally conscious, from a state that to any outside observer would look like a deep coma.
You know, when you hear all this, it starts to sink in that enlightenment isn't some weekend workshop you can book or a goal you can just tick off a list. We have to completely reframe this. It's an immense, incredible journey of preparation.
So if it's a journey, just how long of a journey are we talking about here? When the author of our source material asked his own teacher how long it would take, this was the number he got back.
10 million years. And his teacher wasn't just being dramatic. He explained that this isn't just about the work you do in this one life. It's about purifying millions of years of what he called samskaras. All the subconscious baggage, the impressions, the karma we've collected over countless lifetimes. It's purification on a cosmic scale.
And that brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway from all of this. The real goal isn't chasing the experience of bliss. The real work is the slow, incredibly difficult process of building up your internal wiring, what some people call the energy body, so that it's strong enough to handle that much spiritual electricity permanently without blowing a fuse.
So we'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if we've been looking at this whole thing backwards? What if enlightenment isn't some destination you arrive at, but the monumental journey of forging a self that is finally capable of holding the sun?